Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Invest 90L tropical update here. It is actually now very likely to become Tropical Storm Arthur within the next couple hours, possibly 24 to 36 hours away from having Tropical Storm Arthur form. But we have major updates on Invest 90L. We have major updates, especially on the tracks. It's a lot closer to possibly making U.S. landfall. It can possibly bring in U.S. effects and possibly affect the Carolinas, especially. We have major updates, of course, on the tracks. A lot of updates as well on the radar itself. Major updates on the intensity and all of that. So if you want to know all those new updates, please watch the whole video. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, guys. Also, be sure to share the video to any friends or family that you know or are also very excited about the tropical updates, as I'll be doing multiple updates throughout the summer to cover the tropics as best as I can. But without further ado, let's get in this tropical update. So I do apologize in advance if you hear any lawnmowers or weed cutters, because my neighbors are doing yard work. So I do apologize if it is loud enough for you to hear it. But here we are looking at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook here, and we have major updates on this Invest 90L. The possibility for formation within the next 48 hours is very likely, with a 80%, which is very, very high, as you see. And this Invest is going to continue to move now to the northeast very quickly. But look how this area of potential development is getting getting pushed a lot more to the west. A couple days ago, when we first had it, it was like right here. If you guys remember, look how much it's shifted to the west. It's now very close to the Carolina coast. So the fact that this is getting a lot closer to the west is a major update. Not only did the track show that, but the circle of potential development. It should most likely form around right here is when it could become a tropical storm, just north of the far northern Bahama Islands. But here we have an 80% chance, and then of course in the next 5 days it's also high, but very likely it's going to be moving up across the Florida coast with very favorable conditions. As you see, we do have a lot more warmer temperatures and all of that. So now let's go ahead and check out Invest 90L here on the satellite imagery. Here it actually is. I know it's a little bit confusing. You're probably thinking it's right just this. That's obviously way too small for it to be an Invest. But this is actually the whole Invest 90L right here, this whole system. We do have a couple bands of cloud clover across this system. As you see, it is actually bringing a ton of rain throughout Florida right now. Also, going to see a lot more dense cloud cover as we get later to tonight into the Bahamas. So this is definitely continue to move more to the northeast as it does continue. So this can bring a lot more cloud cover for the Bahamas. But then I do apologize if you guys hear that. And then it is going to continue now to move to the okay, I do apologize. It actually got too loud. I couldn't even talk, so I had to actually pause it. But here we do have all of this right here, and it's going to continue to move to the northeast, and then it actually does shift a lot more to the west. That's exactly why it gets a lot closer to the Bahamas. So these tracks, these are new updates, but it's not like it's not as new as as the model runs, like the radars. So these are definitely going to shift a lot more to the west. You're probably thinking they're not too close to the North Carolina coast. But this has not updated since early afternoon. So this is definitely going to change later tonight. Obviously, definitely going to shift a lot more, because the GFF models and all the tropical tidbits model have reloaded just around an hour ago. So that's the most recent. But as of right now, this is the cone for these models. Really, that's actually not the cone. This is basically what these models, like this model run. This is the cone really for this. Based on this, but obviously with the new model runs later tonight, it will possibly have the cone more like this. I'm calling this is possibly the cone. And it might even, this low pressure system might be just a couple miles away from the Outer Banks. So this is going to be very, very close to actually a U.S. landfall. And if that happens, if we have a tropical storm U.S. landfall in May, that would actually be extremely rare, or not rare, extremely. That's basically, it doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen every season. It doesn't even happen every 5 years. So it's not rare. It just doesn't happen every single year or every 5 years. So that was something really crazy that this is becoming a landfall. Also, with a huge update, it seems like we actually have this getting a lot closer to a Category 1 hurricane. This is the line to a Category 1 hurricane. Look how close it is. It is within, it's not that far at all. It's 5 knots away from, or actually it's around 3 to 4 knots away from the highest model from becoming a hurricane. So it's not gonna be a close call. Like, it's not gonna be by inches or like that close. It's all gonna depend on weather, if it goes through the cooler waters. But it's gonna get, let me just put it this way, it's gonna be a lot closer to a hurricane than I thought it was gonna be. So basically, based on all the, now that we have a lot more models on this, seems like the best possibility for seeing this becoming a tropical storm is around the next 24 hours to around within the next 60 hours. But the best range is from the next 24 to 36 hours. This is really the best range there, and only around 2 models or 3 models don't show it becoming a tropical storm. So very likely, as you tell, it's definitely really going to strengthen a lot between the next 2.5 days, and then it weakens later on the next 120 hours. So definitely going to get a range from basically in general, it seems like we get a range from around 40 knots to maybe around 50 knots, but a couple models show getting above 50 knots, which is quite crazy. So here's a new model run. It has yet to really fully get all the way to 384 hours. But here the next 6 hours. So this is going to continue to move at a decent rate, actually. So I don't think it actually tells you. Yeah, it didn't tell you until it actually becomes a system like that. But here we have our low pressure system at 1,010 millibars. Like I said, it is going to continue bringing really heavy rain throughout parts of the Bahamas as you get later into the overnight hours. And also going to bring it not extremely heavy rain, but more and more rain showers throughout southern Florida. And southern Florida had been seeing the rain for the past 48 to 72 hours. So this light rain is going to carry, kind of add on to that flooding. So it doesn't. The good thing is it's not extremely heavy, but as we now move later on in the next 30 hours, this is of course likely when it could become a tropical storm. That's the range. As you see, we're going to be seeing a lot of precipitation in that Atlantic. Look how close it is, though. So the last model, or yesterday, the model kind of showed this way. Or actually, no, it kind of went this way, the model run yesterday. It kind of went like this. It went all the way to the Atlantic. But now look at what it's going. It's going a lot closer. Look at this. This low pressure system is not far at all from the Outer Banks. Look at this. Not even, not more than, I wouldn't say more than 100 miles. I hope that's actually right. Yeah, that's basically around 100 miles off the coast. Maybe 150. It looks like we are going to be seeing a lot more rain, though, for the Carolinas, Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic. This is going to be a very close call. And we still have, look, this is at 72 hours. So we still have 3 days for this to shift to the east by around 100 miles. And it could possibly make landfall on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And look, it's definitely bringing out a lot, it's going to get a lot closer to the coast. Look, it's going to be like this. That's a lot closer. It's going to bring out a lot of rain for the Mid-Atlantic. This is going to be when it's strengthening. So it's going to be strengthening once it gets close. So definitely be at its worst there. And that can definitely bring a lot more rain for the coast of the Mid-Atlantic there. Now let's go ahead and check the CMC model here. See what they are showing. So we got the next 12 hours. Here the CMC is showing bringing very, very heavy rain, of course, throughout parts of the Florida, the Bahamas. Even the Bahamas will get, or in between the Bahama Islands, will get the heaviest of the rain. And then it's going to go straight through the Big Island, or not the Big Island, straight through the northern island of the Bahamas. And then it seems like the CMC is actually also showing it closer to the Carolinas, but actually does not show this like the GFS going up the coast like this. It's actually showing it going like this, a little bit like that. That's what CMC is showing. So it seems like the GFS for once out of this whole Invest on the L. It seems that the GFS is actually closer to the coast than the CMC. So CMC is showing it a lot closer to South Carolina. It does show it weakening or strengthening a lot slower. So it will be at 997 millibars by the time it passes North Carolina, and then it goes completely off the coast. So huge difference between the CMC when it goes this and then the GFS goes like that. So either way, we are going to be seeing a lot of rain for the Mid-Atlantic. And then to go ahead and check out the Icon model. This is also, that's actually the, check out the Icon. I'm going to be seeing a lot of rain throughout these areas in the next coming hours. And as we now move into the around 48 hours, this will bring in really heavy rain. But look at this. Even the icon showing extremely heavy rain for the Outer Banks there. And that's also going to be not going up the mid-Atlantic coast like the GFS. So GFS goes like that. CMC goes like this. And then kind of the icon goes like that. So seems like more models are shifting it that way. But the GFS is going that way. And really, the Europeans, go ahead and check the European. In my opinion, European seems to be the most accurate when it comes to tropics. Actually, I forgot to actually see if we can actually get to the 10-meter winds. That's right, this doesn't show it. Go to the vorticity. See the vorticity really for this on the European. It does seem like the European is showing it right here off a lot further off the coast though. Now as we check on the meter, the 10-meter winds here, so this is 10 meters off the up in the atmosphere. So this is really the real-time winds we'll be seeing. As you see, we have all these winds to the west of this, like I said, one-sided. We are gonna be seeing around 28 to around 32, maybe even 34 knots here. Here's a low pressure system, 1,010 millibars, like we saw earlier on. Seems like it's gonna weaken a tad bit, and then it gets strengthened a ton off the coast. Seems like we're definitely be seeing a lot more stronger winds now for the Outer Banks. We're going to possibly see around 44 to around getting close to 48 knots at this point, and then it does get very strong as it does move up the mid-Atlantic coast. And then check out the CMC here. CMC, it is if actually this thing can actually go on. CMC is actually showing it a lot stronger, actually showing it at around 52 to around 56 knots. So of course that's a very high-end tropical storm there. As we look at the vorticity for the GFS, here we have a vorticity signature, a lot of cyclonic rotation there. That's exactly why it's an invest, because we have that rotation that's been defined. And look at how close this vorticity is going to get to the coast. Absolutely crazy. It's going to be a very close call based on the GFS. Look at that. Look how I'm actually going to have to go on a thinner layer. Look how close all that vorticity is to the coast. Now that is that's definitely less than 60 miles off the coast, and that's going to be going up the coast there. And then CMC is going to obviously showing it get a lot further off the coast. But look at that. The CMC is the one that's showing it further off the coast, but it's still very close to that signature of that middle. So very close there. A lot of vorticity signature there. Now as we look into the precipitation, this will be the last thing we'll be looking at here. As you do see, this is basically, we're going to be seeing it shift like this and then go like that based on the precipitation, all the precipitation. So we are going to be seeing our heaviest precipitation here around maybe 5 to maybe 6, maybe 7 inches at maximum. But we'll be seeing around 1 to maximum 2 inches for the Outer Banks there. So not going to be extreme flooding. But of course, when we're going to be seeing a really strong wind gust, could definitely, that light rain or that 2 inches or 1 inch could do a lot more damage than with no wind whatsoever. Of course, this is going to become a tropical storm within the next 24 to 36 hours based on the average of the models. Of course, some show 60 hours, but that's really unlikely. Because we do have a high chance or high percentage for the next 48 hours. So very likely around maybe 24 or 36 hours, we'll be seeing this a tropical storm. But when it's going to be taking in the next 72 hours, that's when it's going to be moving through the North Carolina area. So technically, it does have around 3 days for the track to move to the west and possibly make a landfall. And if it makes landfall, it will be in the far outer or the far coastal areas in North Carolina, but it still will be a U.S. landfall in May, which is crazy. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Also, I at this point, I don't want to say there's a very small chance, maybe a 5% chance, or maybe even a 3% chance that this could become a hurricane, but we can't rule out the possibility. This seems to become a lot more of a monster system. I'm not saying like it is like a monster system right now, but it seems like this thing's going to be a lot more powerful than we intended it or thought it was going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be a hurricane. I'm not saying there's a possibility. I'm just saying there's possibly a 3 to 5% chance it can actually become a hurricane. And some models, some NAM models even showed a Category 2 hurricane. So I don't really want to say because it might not happen, but we still can't rule out the possibility for a very weak hurricane. But of course, that's very unlikely. Hope you guys did enjoy the video, and bye guys.